what I'm speaking about is freedom, like total personal freedom. So I am living in a very white privileged place. Like I live in Barcelona, so it's perfectly normal for me to be homosexual, for instance. It's perfectly normal for me to want to be an artist, for instance. So Barcelona is very free. It's very open-minded towards other people. So like, if I would kiss a girl in front of someone and I would get abused, I would feel fairly certain that somebody around me would stand up for us, more or less. Saying like it's that open, it's that liberal. It's dangerous as well. There's bad things. Like it's not all fun and games, but like what I wanted to say is a lot of people that I meet here, they are escaping like actual physical limitations. So when they come from countries where, with homosexuality especially, they can't be homosexual in the country that they're in. So even though they are homosexual, their society is forcing their idea upon them. So I can't even think about like limitations such as North Korea, China, Russia, whatever. I can't even go as far as, like I can't imagine that because I don't know. All I wanted to say, so I'm well aware of my white privilege. I'm well aware of when I'm saying these things. I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you're going like, yeah, of course it's easy for you to be free. Like you can do whatever you want. And it's like, yeah, it's completely true. Like I lived in Europe. I started off in a more, how should I say, I started off richer just by the fact of being born in Austria. So compared to other countries, our minimum or our poor people are still way richer than most people in the world. So I had at least when it comes to monetary things, it was easy for me to travel. It was easy for me to go, like save my own money to go travel. Starting from the age of 14, I started to work, and I usually worked in bars because I used to make my money off tips, more or less. So in case you're living in a country where you're not allowed to be who you are, so you're not accepted for who you are, first of all, I'm extremely sorry that your society, your culture, your tradition is making you feel like who you are is not right. I don't even want to imagine it, or it's heartbreaking for me to think that you are simply born into this. You didn't have a choice. You were born into this society, this system, and this system won't accept you for who you actually are. So obviously, like I don't want you to go out and get yourself killed on personal freedom. Like I am not talking about any sort of divine magic power, but you can be free within any limitations. So even if you were in jail, so you like literally limited, you would be able to free your mind. And this is what I'm talking about. So I'm sorry for speaking from this white privileged position, but it doesn't really matter where you are. So if you have to obscure your true personality in your society, in your culture, like of course it's going to be a million times harder than what I'm doing, because, well, I went to Barcelona because I could be who I am very, very easily here. So I'm, I don't know, I just fit, I felt like I fit, I felt at home in Barcelona straight away. So Austria made me feel, like in Austria, I was a complete misfit failure because I was not interested in having a career. not interested in remarrying, not interested in getting a loan for a house. So I was more interested in art and love and compassion and, being a human being alive. And Austria has a tendency to be more like productive, and your career is, so you introduce yourself with your name. Hey, my name is blah 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 and I am a doctor. Now, that is one of the main things. So I never felt comfortable in Austria because of this, because I always felt like life is not about work. I did try, like I studied chemistry, I did work full time, and I did try, but I soon realized that everybody in Austria is working so hard. I don't think that life is all about having a career and working really hard. So I tried to, so I've always worked part-time, which made me a misfit in Austria, to be fair, because everybody thought I was slacking off, but I'm just trying to enjoy life. And when I come to Spain and I tell people, like, I managed to get by with little money, but I only work part-time, like, it's like I won the lottery. It does feel like I won the lottery, basically. But what I'm trying to tell you, so I'm sorry again, because I've found a place that I can be completely free. So there is a place where you can, like, not everybody can travel like this, and I understand this, and I'm sorry that I'm just talking about my own personal experience. And then when I listen to myself, I realize how white privileged I am. So in case you're living in a country that does not accept you for who you are, like, the thing is, it's not about, like, your actual physical freedom. It is about your freedom of your mind. So what is the worst about living in a society that does this to you? So for instance, if I'm I'm homosexual and society is telling me I am wrong, then I might start to pretend that I'm heterosexual, and my true nature will always be nagging on me. So even though you are living in a country that does not allow or does not think it's legal, it doesn't have to be, like, there's all kinds of things that, it could be, based on your religion, based on your race, there's so many reasons why people want to oppress other people. And if this is the case for you, then freedom from your own mind is the most powerful thing that you could ever do for yourself. You know yourself. You know what you feel is right. You know what you perceive as natural. What they are saying are just random rules. They're just methods to keep people oppressed. I don't know why they do this, but quite often when you look to other countries and you see, it's legal there more or less, or it's only the narrative within this country, within this culture, within this tradition. So if you're living in a Muslim country, if you're living wherever, like, there are all kinds of different, like in Iran, they're just having protests because the females are supposed to wear headscarves, and they're burning their headscarves. So so this is like literal oppression, like telling females you have to wear a headscarf. And we do have to live within this regime, this rule. Like, there's threat of death way too many times to, like, even joke about this. Like, it's crazy. Like, this, sometimes some of the things in the world are absolutely berserk. But if you can you know yourself, who you are. It doesn't matter who accepts you. It doesn't matter who tolerates you. You need to look at yourself and completely and totally accept yourself for who you are. And then when people tell you, hey, you're gay and that's wrong, then you don't need to say anything, because you yourself know I am homosexual and it's completely fine. Like, all I'm doing, you know, there won't be any signs from whatever. So like, obviously you can't go out in the street claiming this, because you're living within this oppression. So you have to live within the limitations. But just because you're living within the limitations doesn't mean that they have to limit your mind. And you're the only one that has the autonomy. You're the only one that has the responsibility, the authority. You're the only one that has a clear view of your entire life. You're the only one that knows what feels natural. And I'm so sorry that you have to live with this conflict. It's got nothing to do with you. Like, we are trying to adjust to a sick society. It's not your fault. It's not at all your fault. It's a misconception that's just gone a little bit out of hand. So there's nothing wrong with you. Absolutely nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with the way that you feel. There's everything wrong with people telling you how to feel, how to behave, how to act. It's called oppression, and it is oppressive. And even if you're living in this oppressive rules, you can accept yourself for who you actually are. And then you can free yourself from all this oppression. So, like, for instance, it means like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this headscarf, but not because I believe in it, just because I'm gonna play by their rules. Because I myself know I do not need to wear this headscarf. I have accepted myself for who I am, without the headscarf. It's just a rule that I'm playing by, just to keep everybody happy on the outside. The most important thing is that you can free yourself, that you realize you're a victim of oppression, you're a victim of your society, you're a victim of random rules. Like, I'm just shaking my head because I'm so sad if I just imagine the situation, because it's not your freaking fault. Like, it's your society you were born into. I see life a little bit differently now, because to me life is all about finding yourself, actually. So fully accepting yourself, so aka finding the light, aka true human joy. And in my humble, like, when I watch my friends struggle, it's actually the best people, like the most honest, sincere, kindest, the best humans go through the most crap in life. And as I'm watching them go through this crap and struggle, all I can see is, this is your chance. You've just lost everything. You just had to deal with all this crap. This is your best chance to find yourself, to strip away everything and actually accept yourself for who you are. Ignore the freaking ego. The ego doesn't help. The ego got you in this mess. And so, more or less, when it's like this weird juxtaposition, because obviously I don't want my friends to suffer, but when my friends have this sudden shocking loss, I can see this is their best possibility of finding enlightenment. So it's like a bit of a two-edged sword. To you, it seems like life is miserable, meaningless, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. When I look at your life, I would be like, you're worth saving. And the only reason you're struggling with this is because you can see the light. You will be able to find the light. You are capable of accepting yourself for who you actually are, and commence love, basically. So I think it changes the narrative. Before, I used to think life was miserable and sad, and like people die, and Like, there's not 1 week without something bad happening, blah, blah, blah. And now I see it completely differently. We go through life trying to acquire things, trying to hold things, and life is about nothing, absolutely nothing. So when we hit these walls and we lose our love of our life, or we lose whatever, we always feel down, depressed, sad. But actually, that loss of everything shows you that you were attached to it, and the loss of everything just proves to you life is about nothing. There's nothing we can ever hold. There's nothing we can ever take to the grave. It's born alone, die alone. That's as simple as it is. So, again, I speak about myself because that's like the only thing that I know, like I can say with confidence, is talking about my own experience. And sometimes I don't quite get how privileged I really am. And that's why I speak. I speak from the heart, from me to you. And I don't quite comprehend I only comprehend my life. You understand what I mean? So I've never had to live in a country where it was illegal to be homosexual. So I've met lots of people from there, that's why I'm speaking about it. And sometimes you need to play by the rules and limitations of your country, of your culture. But as Jiddu Krishnamurti said, we are adjusting to a sick society. So all I'm trying to do is say, it's not you, it's your society. So I'm sorry for all the stress and drama and fear and sadness and, feelings of inadequacy. But it's completely not your fault. It's not you at all. We're trying to adjust to a sick society. And if you look at everybody in society, everybody's sort of sick. So if freedom, if you accept yourself for who you are, you can go on pretend in the charade of whatever your country expects from you. But the freedom from, then you have the freedom. As soon as you accept yourself, whatever they say around you, if anything negative, you won't overreact anymore because you've already accepted yourself. You don't care about what anybody else is saying anymore. There's no ego left to be hurt. So, yeah. Thank you very much for listening, and talk to you soon. One love.